welcome to Digging Deeper. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about what happened on Sunday. We do some behind the scenes stuff and talk about what's going on. And I'm here today for a special edition with a good chunk of the staff. How about you guys introduce yourselves?
My name's Anthony. I'm the youth pastor here. I'm friends with all these people.
He thinks he's friends with all these people. That's sweet.
We're going around introducing ourselves.
Yeah, go Pete, go.
Pete Goodman, born 1978 in Monroe, Wisconsin. Little farm.
Were you really?
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Wow. I thought people from Wisconsin
Weaknesses
said
include
Wisconsin.
kryptonite.
That's Iowa.
Praise
No,
to
Pete-
God for Wisconsin.
Pete, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
My wife's uncle was the tuba player on the Little Mermaid soundtrack.
You always use the same one, bro.
That's a good one, though.
It's not real.
Also, it's a fun fact about his wife's uncle.
Right.
You know, like-
Pete hates fun facts. Well, you've just blown your cover. Who else is here in the room?
Yep, this is Bobby. Here we are. Those of you that can see me, and those that you can hear. Here I am. Have you seen the thing where they'll line up pastors and they'll make them face the wall and they'll put like their staff or like their youth pastor with the youth students behind them, and then they'll just say, "Hi, Pastor Bobby," and the pastor has to guess whose name it is or who's speaking?
Wow.
We should do that to Anthony.
New fear unlocked.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, gosh. Like, I have to guess the staff or the student?
The students' names.
That's tough.
That's
I
tough.
could do it, though, I think.
Did you know that the kids yesterday were chanting, "Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Pastor Bobby."
Yes, I'm pretty sure that has everything to do with, the little girls that run around this church. Aria.
Yes, your daughter was involved.
She thinks it's hilarious.
Congrats. And who else do we have here?
Hi, I'm Megan, and glad to be here. Woo!
She's the only one who understood the assignment. Well done.
Maybe.
Well done.
Well, yesterday was a great day because it was our Vision Sunday here at Rise. And we got to share with you guys just so much of what we've been working on, what's been going on behind the scenes, that God's been working in our hearts over the last 6 months or so. And so I thought this would be a cool time to just talk about, like, how does that all come to be? Like, did Bobby go up on a mountain and he came down with stone tablets and that was that? Or how does this whole thing come to
Threw them
together?
at the ground.
You
and
got mad.
Got new stone tablets.
There was a golden calf
I
involved.
think an eagle landed on his shoulder and just communicated the whole thing. That's how I picture
Exactly.
it.
An Eagles, wait, is this a Super Bowl reference?
It
Too
was.
soon to talk about the
It
Eagles.
was. Go Eagles.
Too soon.
No, I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but the idea was come here, get to know the church, get to know the people, get to know the heartbeat, and then take some time once getting to know it to figure out where we're going. I remember early on in a meeting, Pete, it might have been the first month when Pete was like, "No, what's your vision? Where are you going? What naturally comes out of you? That's what we need to know." And so, a lot of what I shared yesterday was a lot of the things that naturally come out of me, but we've taken the last maybe 2.5 months to sort of craft the language around it. How does it? What are the words that we're using? What are we trying to communicate clearly? And so, some of the stuff is just it. I think my first Sunday I shared that a scripture that's highly important to me is John 10:10, and that's where the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I've come that you may have life and have it abundantly, have it to the fullest. And that's a scripture that I've always gravitated towards, and here we are. We find it in the vision statement. But then 2.5 months ago or so, we sat down. I think maybe 4 of the 5 of us. Megan, you might have been in the room too. So it might have been all of us were in the room, and we sat down and we began to look. What do we want it to look like? What do we want it to feel like? What do we want the future of our church to be? And so that's where it all started. And then just over a course of time of prayer and conversation and dialogue, we landed where we landed.
It's a unique situation coming into a church that's a wonderful place and trying to figure out, well, where are we going to go next?
Yeah.
It's not like walking into a train wreck of a church. It's like, oh, this place needs a revamp. So how does that change? Like, how does that factor in as you're figuring out, like, where's God taking us next?
Well, I think you don't lose who you are, because if you lose who you are, then it makes no sense. It makes no sense to lose when it's healthy. It makes no sense to lose who you are. But also, God builds line upon line. Like this idea that glory to glory. This idea that, hey, all good things, but God can continue to do even greater things. And so the way I view it, it's like, hey, the 10 years, it's like the depth of the foundation of our church and the future of our church is established through the strength that we have. And we'll be able to do things in the future because of the beauty of what we've been able to do in the past and what we developed and established already. So I think patience and humility of saying, like, what if thoughts that I've always been like, oh, this is so important. What if there's a better way? And so that's part of the why I think in the beginning I was patient about it, if that makes sense.
This is a little bit of a pop quiz for all of you staff members sitting here. But out of our vision that was shared on Sunday, what is one of those value statements that you really resonate with?
I thought you were going to pop quiz everybody and say, all right, vision statement.
Go,
and see how it went down.
Luckily, the vision statement has like a sentence, but then it has like a shortcut, like
It does.
encounter Jesus, experience life.
Yes.
So I'm like, just stick with that.
Yeah.
Well, now you said it, so
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say encounter Jesus, experience
That's the
life.
vision statement.
too.
What about the values? The values.
I think they're all equally as valuable. I'm just kidding.
When do you run for office, Anthony?
No, I think what's cool about a lot of the values is it's no matter where you're at, they don't feel like big change. At least I don't think they do. Like I think so many of them, why they might have a definition that maybe like they might be defined a little bit differently or have different language. Like it's so much of it is still Rise. And like he said, one of the most important things in his mind was get here and get get an idea of what the pulse and the heartbeat of Rise City was. And so what excites me is like knowing that there's a difference in just people as individuals and piecing that together and going, okay, well, obviously like with Brandon out, Bobby coming in, he's not Brandon. So for us, and the congregation probably feels this too, we're like, the same way he's getting a heartbeat on us, we're getting a heartbeat on him. And we're saying, well, how does this guy lead? What is this guy's vision? Where does he want to go? And I think it's cool that you can see the slight differences, but ultimately it's all going in the same kind of direction. Absolutely. And so for me, I think people are the mission is... And I got that right? Everyone, can anyone confirm? That's my quiz for you.
That was
Good
the
job.
first value statement.
People are the mission. I think that one's super cool just because, I don't think it's coincidence that that's the first one on there either. Like when we sat down and we talked about it, we said, hey, before we get into anything, like let's just remember why we're doing this. Like we're all in the business of people. We're dealing with people. Our ultimate goal is for people to encounter Jesus and ultimately experience life to the fullest. That doesn't ever happen if people aren't involved. And so I just think that one is obviously crucial to everything, but they really are all good.
Right. It really starts there. Everyone's going to share their favorite, so I could pick on you because that's fun. I'll look for whoever looks the scariest.
Megan's cheating. She's looking at
Yeah,
her
I'm
phone
looking
to
at
try
them.
to remember.
That
I'm just trying to look at them. I didn't
Hey,
know
it takes
exactly
time.
what they were.
That's okay.
But we haven't even said what they were. So, like, those listening, do they know
Well,
what they
you're
are?
holding the
Oh,
phone,
I'm
so go ahead and read them all.
experienced.
Yeah, I
I'm
could read
All right,
them.
Megan's
What
gonna
I
tell us
just
what they
picked
are.
up there is Pete was like, Megan's cheating.
Help
And
me
Pete was
cheat.
like, can you help me cheat as
too?
well?
Oh, no, I
me
know
cheat.
that.
Oh, you're not
I know
cheating?
that.
Turn your
Got
phone
it.
towards me
Let's
and
see.
prove it.
Okay,
Generosity is
People are the mission.
Yep.
Growth is our
Pursuit.
pursuit.
Generosity is our culture.
culture.
Serving is our calling.
And
unity is our spirit.
Yeah.
Unity is our spirit. That's a good one too.
Did you just
Yeah,
say the
totally.
last word of each one of those? So it sounded like
I knew all the first
you
words.
knew
I
them.
didn't know all the second
You
words.
knew them all, didn't you,
The
Pete?
second words are just,
Good job, Pete.
The first word is
Come
what
on.
matters.
which
Good
one
job.
resonates with you, Megan?
I think unity is our spirit resonates with me because, every meeting matters, every gathering matters. And I think that it's beautiful when every age is involved in that, every group is involved in that, because it's so important that we are one. We're all going towards the same thing. And I think that's what's the most important to me.
In the words of High School Musical, we're all in this together.
Hey.
I know the dance.
It's really?
Yeah, if you haven't.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick break to watch Mariah do the High School Musical dance. Just kidding. But next week on Digging Deeper. I think
don't
that one's good
understand
too.
the reference. Could you explain it further?
There is a high school that dances and sings.
Oh.
And that's pretty much it.
He's
and
from the
there's
1900s.
and there's a
It's gonna
basketball
pass.
player that's in love and also does plays. That's the whole plot. and he's better at plays and show choir than he is basketball.
Oh, so he's questioning whether or not, he can give up his
Yes.
manly pursuit of sports in order to actually pursue his love
Look at that.
of the arts.
Wow.
Wow.
Church,
That's what the show's about.
Mic drop.
you might be a Disney adult after all, buddy. I'm just kidding. I like the unity is our spirit too, though. I wanted to say something about that. I think it's cool because church is a team sport, and I always reference sports and stuff, but it's so true. Everything is better. Everything's more fun. Everything works like a lot more fluid. Everything is right when we have a spirit of unity. Like when we come in expecting to do things together.
In reference to High School Musical, could we
Yes.
also say that like church is not just a team sport, but it's like a group musical or something like that? Could we use another
it is.
analogy?
It's like
Am I the only one who hasn't seen this movie?
Yes.
Maybe.
get your head in the
Maybe.
game,
No, actually,
Pete.
I haven't
Get
seen
you-
it
get
either.
your head in
Pete.
the
I'm
game.
just basing it off what.
I think we got to go our own way. That's a High School Musical 2 reference. Dang, I'm good. Let's keep moving.
Wow.
My goodness.
Hey, Pete, what's your favorite value?
My favorite value. Well, I like the fact, as Bobby, you said when you were sort of wrapping things up, is these aren't things that are like just out there. They're things that are part of following Jesus.
Yeah.
To be generous, to serve, to grow, to fulfill the Great Commission. I think when we talk about something like change or doing something new, in many ways, the odd thing about creating a mission statement for a church is like, well, we already have one. Like Jesus basically said, do this. It's really more about what might the flavor look like or how we might go about it. And so I think saying like these are the core things about following Jesus, but maybe specifically ways that might look a little different, unique here or whatever, or just, hey, we're going to focus on what the Bible tells us to do. So I think it's a good direction, good things to focus on, and all 5 of them. So
He said all 5.
Yeah,
I can't pick one. I don't know.
Who's your favorite? Which one of your children is your favorite child?
Oh, that's easy.
That one's
I would
easier.
in a heartbeat. Did you get that fixed up?
Kira.
Don't make me. Kira.
No, it seems to be steady. Kira. I know I've already talked a lot, but whatever. I think this one excites me because I feel like it is part of our DNA already, but I feel like this one is the most immediate call to more, and that's the serving is our calling. So call to more. I didn't mean to like do like a play on words, but I think we have a good amount of people that serve and are involved and invested, but that really fires me up to have that as a culture piece. And because, once it gets in us, it's going to start to bleed out of us and come out of us. And I think it's just cool to know that part of our process is always going to be, no matter who the person is, where are you involved? And how can we get you involved? And not just throwing people anywhere to say that they are involved, but finding that spot for them that brings that fulfillment to their life and puts them in a spot where they can exercise some of their gifts as well as continue to develop. Again, it comes back to the unity piece, right? Like as a church, that's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Helps us as a team, helps us as a staff, helps us as just a group of people. I think it's just exciting to know that there's a call to more, and it's not just accept Jesus and show up on Sundays.
Totally. Yeah.
When this whole process, it was about a year ago that we found out that Brandon was moving and all these things happening, and Bobby and Megan moved here in July, and the whole process of it has been so interesting to me and has grown me so much. And it's a little an analogy maybe might be like when you start dating someone. Like I remember being a teenager and I started dating someone, and we were just teenagers, so I was around his family a lot. And it was the first time his family had ever had an outside opinion on their family. So things that they did that they're like, that's normal. To me, I'm like, that's so weird. Why are you guys doing that? Right? And it was interesting to have that in reverse, having Bobby and Megan come in and pointing out things like, hey, why do you guys do it this way? Why do you do it that way? And just shaking me up a little bit and waking me up a little bit and realizing that there's so much that we are in love with as Rise City Church with what we do, but there's some things that I was so in love with it. I never thought to be like, well, is there something next or something more? Like obviously Next Generation Ministries is my heartbeat. And we do such a great job with that here at Rise. But also our church has grown since we've started and now have this huge population of young adults.
Yeah.
And like, can we still be fantastic at Next Gen and start to turn our hearts towards this direction? And so you guys have added so much of that to my life and to my leadership posture and all of that. But as far as the values go, what the value that really hit me was unity is our spirit. And that's because during all of our brainstorm sessions, that never showed up. And it wasn't until Bobby got to this like 5th or 6th iteration and showed it to us that suddenly unity is our spirit arrived. And what hit me about that was that, like, it's one thing to step into someone's family and be like, you guys are weird. Why do you do that? But in some ways, you guys stepped into our family and said, did you know that this is so special? Like, did you guys know you have this and it's so special? And unity is our spirit put a finger on something that has always been core to who we are at Rise, but we had never really understood and grasped it and like put a stake in the ground about it. We were living it, but I don't think we realized it. And so having you guys come and see, like, that's unique, guys. Like, we need to double down on this was what makes unity is our spirit so like meaningful to me.
When I think about the culture statements and even the vision statement and all 5 of those are call to action. What I love about those is everybody has a value system they work from. Every single human being on the planet has a value system. Every organization, every church, every person, not everyone's able to articulate it.
Yeah.
But if you boil down to it, you look at something and you can quickly determine where the values lie. And as a church, the beauty of having written down value statements, written down vision, is it gives us a shared language to articulate well the things that are priority for us. And so I'm the guy who goes, hey, let's go back to this. Let's use this language often to remind ourselves of what our focus, what our direction, what our values are. Because in any situation, you can drift from the things that was the priority over time. And so I'm excited about it. I'm excited about having the values written down on walls and hearts and part of what we do departmentally. It's not just like, this is Rise City's values as the big church, but everybody else can have other values. No, it's the values of our church collectively.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that permeates through different departments and parts of our church and expressions of our church as well.
Speaking of permeating, I think one thing that I also loved about yesterday was just the idea of a loving and life-giving church that brings hope and healing. You could see through all the value statements how that identity of who we are flows into everything. Like, it's such an interesting concept to think that like that has been our guiding star for all these years, and to think in a happy way, like it's integrated into our whole church culture so deeply that now it so naturally becomes the foundation of what's next for us. And I think as a member of our church, but also as a pastor of our church, like it just fills me with so much joy that together we've been able to walk this path and God has ingrained these values into who we are.
Yeah.
It's like a real celebration point for me.
I think that raises a question that I got. And I think an opportunity like this is a good chance to sort of like unpack and go deeper and give more explanation. So I think one thing this was sort of like, I forgot who asked me this yesterday, but so our first value, people are the mission. When you were talking in the first service, I wasn't in the second service, you had said, there's 2 ways you can hear that. And then you started talking. You didn't actually tell me what the 2 ways, but there are 2 ways you can hear it.
Sure.
And I hear them both, and they're very different. Because one way to hear that is our values is going to be, we're going to go out and reach people. That's what we're going to do. Another way to hear it is we're a loving and life-giving church that really cares about people. And so when I looked at it, I was like, are we really, is that value statement talking about how we're going to treat people? or that we're going to be very evangelistic, because it can kind of cut both ways and be a little bit confusing. Because if you're just focusing on reaching more people, you can actually stop caring about people. If you're just caring about people, you can stop reaching people. Like, so give some clarity on exactly where your heart is in that
Yeah,
statement.
I would say let's combine, because the one I think I actually said that about was growth is our pursuit. Though I agree with people are the mission, you could view it two ways, but you could view growth is our pursuit as two ways. You could hear growth.
That's right. It
Yeah.
was growth. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
because
Maybe that's
growth
what
is
yeah.
we want the church to grow. It could
That's
sound
right.
like that,
Yeah, yeah.
or it could
That was
sound
it.
like we want people to grow. But the same thing with people are a mission. We want to see new people like evangelized, but we also want to see people being loved well. The thing I believe about both of those two statements is both of those value statements hold both of those realities in them.
Yeah.
So people are the mission means that we love people well. I think one of the scriptures I used for that was the love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And also in one of them, I believe it was in People of the Mission, I highlighted the parable of the sheep and the goats. How do you take care of people? How do you love them well? And how do you reach people well? And so both of those, I think, are a reality. What is the double-edged sword? It cuts
In
both
a
ways.
good way.
In a good way.
And in some aspects, if you don't have one, you don't really have the other.
Yeah.
So like a natural outpouring of a sincere discipleship, like growing closer to Jesus, is growing closer to others and sharing with them the love that you found. So I think to me, like pastorally, it raises questions like if you're loving people in your church really well, but you're not reaching out, then what's really happening? Like, is the love moving forward in discipleship, or like what's going on there? So I think that if you ever lose one or the other, something's off.
They have to go hand in hand with each other.
It's almost like a well-designed two-edged sword. They have to both be true in that category.
Yeah. I don't know. Does that answer? Do you think that you feel like that answers the question for maybe who was curious about it yesterday?
Sure. Yeah, you were right. I remember the question being, wait, he didn't say what the both ways were. It was the second one, and you're right. Is it like, are we focused on growing bigger as a church, or growing? Because you went the second direction. Like you focused a lot on every person needs to grow, but you didn't come back to, maybe you did in second service.
I don't know if I did in the second service. I think that growth of a church is a byproduct of everyone growing.
Yeah.
And so like my mind goes, yeah, I want our church to grow, because our church growing means that people are coming to the knowledge of Jesus. They're committing their life. They're walking out the faith journey of following him and discipleship. That is growth is a natural byproduct of that. But I don't want to just grow for growth's sake. I'm not interested in 1,000 people from the church down the road coming over to join us. I'm believing that we'll see people that are far away from God come into our building, and we'll be able to help walk them from the journey of giving their life to the Lord to faithfully following Jesus all the days of their life.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to park there for a second on growth is our pursuit. On the idea that you had shared that in the last year or so, we've had 77 people raise their hand to commit their life to Jesus. And that, first of all, like, may we never lose track of what that means.
Yeah. Yeah.
77 people have walked from pursuing death to pursuing life. 77 people have experienced and are experiencing the freedom of what it means to know your creator and to no longer wander. It's like, that's huge. However, tell us more about what's next, because in that idea of like growth is our pursuit, no, we're not just trying to become like to get tons of numbers just because numbers feel good, right? 77 people who give their life to Jesus can almost be a tragic number if 77 don't get discipled and get to know Jesus and truly walk out. It's like that parable of the seeds, making sure that they fall on good soil. So, and that, I know that's been a really passionate thing that you've been really on in the last 6 months. So tell us more about what the plans are there.
Yeah, so discipleship is a unique thing because it's a broad but also very individualized. Like the way I grow, the way I learn is different than the way Pete grows and Pete learns. Like the way we understand things, and so discipleship becomes very like, how do you grow as an individual in a process of something? And so I say that to say it's going to be a multifaceted approach. And I don't think we have like all the solutions figured out yet. And I don't think we will. I think a year from now we'll be like, oh, we could do this. This will be incredible for people. But some of the things we did early on was like, hey, let's get a nice Bible for everyone. Let's make sure we get their information. The reason why we ask for people's information is so that our Next Steps department can reach out to them and help them find a group to get planted in, help them find answer questions that they may have, and begin the process of being an integrated member in the church, a part of the body. And so we've looked at that. We've looked at our life groups, and we haven't finished developing all of this yet, but the idea of making our life groups avenues where people can develop in leadership, develop in their walk with God, be discipled, and with the intention of planting more groups, developing more leaders, and seeing more people discipled. Essentially, Jesus, he had 12 disciples.
We love him.
He had 72 disciples. He had thousands of people following him at all times. But even the way that worked, he would have been closest with the 12, and then the 72, and then the thousands, because he was fully God, but he was fully man, and we are fully man, which means that there's no way one person can effectively, intimately disciple thousands of people. There's avenues, preaching on a Sunday can spur on discipleship in people because we're talking about scriptural ideas and biblical precedent and stuff like that. But that individualized small group, life group approach of close discipleship, I think, is so key and so important. And so we're looking at our life groups. We're looking at some other things to help people get integrated into the church early on. So if you come visit, we're still working out the details of what it'll look like, but it's a class around our vision and our values. It'll be a couple weekends. It'll be two sessions over a month, and where someone comes in and they can go, oh, this is who Rice City Church is. This is the vision. This is the values. These are the people. This is the heartbeat, and know us in our unique way. So that's a couple of the things. Yeah. Did I miss anything that I've talked about? Maybe I didn't address?
Well, I think a big one, the phrase we use a lot is next steps, that growth is like taking steps, walking. And so even just, you talked about it in our first team night leader meeting. It didn't, at least in the first service, didn't come up, but we have hired a new staff member to help in the next step process.
Yes, we have. Megan has joined our team as a part-time staff member in the Next Steps department. And so that's exciting stuff. And we're doing some really fun things. So Megan's responsibility is, I guess you could call it front of house, fit team, women's ministry, different things like that. So we have some different initiatives that we're doing.
We
do you want to talk about the Women's Night here on the podcast?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So we have a Women's Night coming up on March 14th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock, but I would suggest getting here early because we're going to do some fun stuff before. So we're going to do a full service where we have worship, the word. We get to really just lean into who God is in our life, and we get to come together as women of all ages. So middle school all the way to great grandma, because I think it's beautiful when we can all come together and we can all learn from each other. I think it's great when my grandma can teach me something, but I also think it's great when my kid can teach me something. Yeah. And so I think that that's a beautiful moment, and I think it's going to be such a good night, and it's no cost, childcare. It's going to be a great night for all the ladies.
All the men are going to come help serve?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I hope so anyway. We're going to ask them at the men's
we
breakfast.
We actually have such a strong male presence in
I'm
our
watching
Next Gen
Netflix.
Ministries already. Pete's not coming.
Me and Pete will be here for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. I won't be home watching TV at all.
We're not going to watch High School Musical.
My God.
No,
he has
not
to
at all.
catch up on his High School Musical situation. What I love about the concept of the Women's Night is that it's such an opportunity to invite people.
Yes.
I highly encourage you to invite your friends to church, even if it feels a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's a great experience. But if that feels like too high of a bar, come to Women's Night. It's going to be an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And it's really it's non-threatening. It's at night. Come hang out.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I think it's cool too. And you said, you should come early. I don't just think you should, let me just say it like this. If you're in the church and you're looking to connect in any way.
Yeah.
Those are honestly the most critical moments for it. Like services are phenomenal. You'll meet
Yep.
people, you'll kind of brush shoulders with people, but in moments like that where we intentionally program moments and create environments where there's an opportunity to be like, fun and
Yes.
loose and a little
Yes.
more interactive like that. Like that's where you're really going to make your connections. I mean, you talk to anyone, women in the church, men in the church, students, like high school, middle school, you could break it down how you want. And the majority of them will say the reason that they showed up to the church was they heard something or knew someone. But then the reason they stayed, it's never for a message. It's because of an interaction they had with
Yeah,
someone.
totally.
And so like give yourself the opportunity to interact with someone. That sounds awesome. Like, don't just consider showing up early. I would say plan to be there early. Participate
Absolutely.
in everything that's available.
And in addition to all that, the funniest thing that I heard from people between team night when we talked about it a couple weeks ago and Vision Sunday, after preaching it, I thought, people are just going to come and go, just so excited about the vision, pastor, that, and just like lay out all the value statements without forgetting the last word of each of them. That's what I thought. But no, the thing that I heard from more people than anything else was, so about this coffee shop.
Excellent.
It was like, let's talk about this coffee shop for just a moment.
Yes.
What's the plan?
We all know that Bobby has a problem.
You know what? I learned in both of our services that plenty of people are not addicted to coffee, but they just enjoy it every single day. And so
Twice a day.
I have
You people that drink unhealthy stuff every morning.
as Pete
know how
finishes
bad that
his
is for you?
Diet
and
Coke.
Anthony over there drinking his
I spilled
Celsius.
my coffee earlier.
I drink an energy drink a day, and I didn't realize this till the other day, but that's probably not good for you.
Yeah, no, that's probably
It's
not.
the missing
Can
link.
the coffee shop have a Diet Coke fountain on it?
All right. Here's the thing about the coffee shop. I had an interaction with someone, and we were talking about the coffee shop, and they're like, I just feel like we're just trying to be cool. Like drip coffee is not cool enough, so now we have to be cool.
Anthony doesn't try.
Anthony. And it was a great conversation because I was like, oh, that's so funny. Like, that's not how I thought about it at all. Like, I'm thinking of creating an environment where you're waiting in line for your latte and you get to say hi to somebody and it creates an environment for more authentic connection.
Yes.
Because you can get connection from being assigned a game group and meeting people. That works. But how much more authentic is it to just turn around in line and be like, hey, I don't recognize you. You got kids. That is such a wonderful opportunity. And I'm just probably not going to walk up to someone randomly in the lobby, though I'm working up to it.
You're working up to it?
Working up to it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, the truth is, a coffee shop is fun. And there's nothing wrong with fun.
No.
Like, Anthony's cool. There's nothing wrong with cool.
Anthony's cool.
Yeah, he's the one I chose
I
out of
am.
all of us. I
Thank
chose
you.
Anthony.
Thank you, Bobby.
But
think
no,
you're cool,
like
Pete.
I'll follow
something
you
that's
anywhere.
cool, something that's fun. Nothing's wrong with those things, but there's definitely more purpose and more fruit that can come from it than just it's fun or it's cool.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to linger a little bit more. I was at a church a couple years ago in Australia that just there visiting. And after the service, we sort of walked away and we were away for 30 minutes and then went out to the lobby. And when I went out to the lobby, there was still hundreds of people there.
Yeah.
And they were sitting around a coffee shop, connecting, genuinely connecting, not rushing out the door. And it's this idea that moment of service, yes, it's important, but that time after service is equally important.
Yeah.
And a coffee shop is just a tool to be used to help people develop connection, create friendships. It's a tool to invite people to church as well. There's so many different opportunities that it presents itself. So it's a fun opportunity. It's cool, yes, but it can be deeper than that as well.
The opportunity to serve there too is a fantastic one. Like to be able to be there, use your gifts, and have this opportunity to interact and just play a small part in making this feel like home for people.
Yeah.
To hand them their latte and look in their eyes and
know their name.
I
Know the
know.
order that they usually have is always great because if you go to if I go to a coffee shop and they know my name, I'm like, oh, that's nice. That made me feel really good. But then they go, oh, do you want your usual? And I'm like, oh, wow, they really know me. That's
yeah.
really cool.
I'll take the chocolate milk again, thanks.
that's an iced hot chocolate is what you mean.
Yeah,
We have pumpkin spice everything in the fall. That's what I want to know.
Oh yeah, we will.
Because Anthony loves pumpkin spice.
Oh, do
stuff.
you?
He's,
I actually do.
Do you?
do?
Yeah.
Interesting.
into
I know
all
you're
white
trying
girl
to. I know you're
coffees.
trying to shame me, Pete, but I wear that proudly. October's my month.
You have a pumpkin spice candle in your office, right?
No, I have multiple pumpkin spice candles in my office. I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
On the subject of lingering, I'd like to officially lobby for a playground in the front so that you can get your coffee and let your kids play.
I hear what you're saying. Officially lobby for it.
Officially. So if anyone else is on board and wants to drop a cool 100 grand, that's all it'll cost.
That's all it'll cost.
I see. I could get a playground from Costco for like $2,000, but apparently it's not up to code or safe for children. So I go,
I think something I've noticed too, being able to have opportunity to do ministry in like other states. I love the opportunity God's given me everywhere, but California, it offers so much more than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like we're constantly competing with so many other things. People are constantly wrestling with so many other,
I
opportunities.
got to get going because we have.
Yeah, like in Missouri,
soccer
you're like,
practice.
what am I going to go cow tipping or be at church?
Throw
Yeah,
stuff off the bridge.
out here, you're like, I can serve, I can go to the beach, I can drive 2 hours and snowboard, I can, like, there's this, the list goes on and on, it seems, of like fun things people can do. So
Yeah.
to that comment someone made about it being cool, like to me, I'm like, anything we can do to give people a reason to stay and hang around, I'm for. Like if we know that there's a bunch of fun things happening that are, that are things that people want to show up to, then I think it'd be probably, I feel like it'd be stupid of us to just ignore the fact that we have the same opportunity to create moments and things that make our environment somewhere that's desirable to be.
Like,
so
okay,
wouldn't we?
so who did creation? God. He's the most creative. So why are we not the most creative? Like, we should be the most creative and take the things that the world is using, and we should be able to use those things, like a coffee shop. That's simple. That's easy to do. Yeah, it's work. Yeah, it's volunteers. Yeah, but it's really fun, and people like it. I go to a coffee shop because I like going to a coffee shop. If there's one at the church, heck yeah, that's awesome. That's what I think. That's my personal
And it's
opinion.
very on brand for Rice City. Like, why do we have an ice cream truck? Because it was fun.
Why
It made people
not?
smile.
Why
Let's
do we
it.
put a sledding hill at the tree lighting in Santee?
Yes.
Because it's fun. The
That's
kids
right.
love it, and it's a cool
Yes.
opportunity.
Yeah.
It's part of, sort of who we are. Someone suggested to me yesterday, they were like, we should transform our ice cream truck into a coffee truck.
Oh, like a coffee
not a
cart?
bad idea.
Yeah.
Cut it in half,
So,
put it in the wall.
they were like, we could still serve ice cream out of there, but, put some coffee in it.
With kids, we say that fun is how kids connect.
Yeah.
So like when you come to our kids ministry, kids are like, it's going to be so fun. They think it's fun. We know that it means connection. That's where authentic connection starts for them. And I think that as we become adults, we think, oh, we don't need that anymore. We could just connect. But it's not true.
Yeah,
Like fun is connection.
with youth ministry, we have a saying. We say, "Fun is what gets them in the door, but Jesus is who keeps them in the room." So, and that's a big statement for our leaders too, because that communicates that, hey, yes, we're doing a lot of fun things, but remember, there's purpose and intentionality behind every one. And every single new student we have will tell you, like, the majority of them came to an event where there was some sort of giveaway, some sort of large promotion, and they'll tell you, I came for that Vans gift card. I came for that pair of Air Forces. And then if you ask, well, why'd you stay? It comes right back around full circle. Well, I've never sang a song like that. And I love worship now. I can't miss worship. It's my favorite part of the week.
I don't know what was going on here, but it was different.
Yeah, exactly. Or again, the interaction and all of that. And so I'm all for it. Like, why not give people reasons to show up?
Totally. That's what makes it beautiful.
Well, this is just the beginning, folks.
I don't even like coffee, and I'm saying that.
We'll fix you
So
up,
this
don't
is
worry.
my petition to serve chocolate milk.
Iced hot chocolate. That's much cooler.
Ice in milk? What'd you say?
No,
Do you put ice in milk, Mariah?
No.
You look like the kind of person that puts ice in milk.
no, but my middle schoolers, when I was a middle school pastor, they didn't want to say they got chocolate milk, so the cafe sold iced hot chocolates.
First of all,
It was
anyone who
basically
puts
just chocolate milk.
anyone who puts ice in milk, I'm willing to put money on the fact they also call it milk instead of milk.
Well, this is disintegrating quickly.
People are the mission.
Well, You guys are so special to all of
Ryan
us.
doesn't know where to take this now.
Yeah, I'm gonna land this plane for the good of our church family. But again, this is just the beginning. It's like the kickoff, and we're really excited to see where God takes us.
Yeah.
As we move forward.
Yeah.
So that is it for digging deeper, and can't we just catch up next week? What are we doing for a sermon series?
We are going to do a series on the vision and the values over the next few weeks.
Perfect. So we're gonna start with people or the mission, or
No, we're going to start with the vision.
Itself.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. No news yet on what Navy Federal thinks about you stealing their tagline.
What is their
Navy Federal's tagline is "People are the mission."
Oh, that's funny. Did not know
I
that.
bank there, so all you Navy Fed people. All right. Until next time, digging deeper. Adios.
See you guys.